Welcome folks. Today's video, as you might have seen from the thumbnail and title, is ranking the hollows in the series. But not just any hollow, I'm talking about the non-hybrids. So no arrancar and no special breeds like whatever white, Hikone, and Ichigo are. Just good old-fashioned Demi-hollows all the way up to the Vasto Lorde class characters. This list was sort of difficult to put together because of how little we see the Vasto Lorde in the series. And in actuality, the novels mention them more times than the manga does. One thing I must have you keep in mind before we continue on to this list is that a lot of this is going to be somewhat guesswork and speculation because, like I said, we don't see them in their Vasto Lorde forms much at all. So a lot of this is going to be me trying to scale them based off of retroactive possible power. So let's get going. Number 5, Szaeyalaporro Granz. Szaeyalaporro Granz was difficult to place. As per the rules, we're looking at the strongest, but when deciding who that is amongst the non-evolved hollows, it's difficult because we see so little of them. Szaeyalaporro as a Vasto Lorde at one point was the combination of himself and Ilfort, his brother, with Szaeyalaporro mostly holding personality dominance. But we know he was inferior to the likes of Barragan, working under his employ as a scientist. But Szaeyalaporro has a berserk state that amplifies his power, and he loses all sense. This is when Ilfort becomes the dominant personality. We don't know if the berserk boost put himself over Barragan, but it really doesn't matter. We don't have much information for Szaeyalaporro as just a Vasto Lorde, and any type of ability or power prowess he may have had in that state. Unlike two others on this list, Szaeyalaporro became an arrancar through Hogyoku, meaning his transformation into a hybrid being was more complete, thus granting a higher power boost and potentially more powerful abilities. When Szaeyalaporro became an arrancar, he was bestowed the Zero Espada status. So some of you not familiar with it will wonder, why is he at 5 then? Well, that designation of Zero Espada only comes when he is in his berserker state, exactly like Yami's Ira Resurrección. Whenever he was in his scientist or base state, his number wasn't given. But we can assume it wasn't 1, 2, or 3, because it would have been specified that he was the strongest Espada regardless of his mental state if he was the first Espada in base, in Zero and Res, but the novel doesn't specify anything like that. Barragan was his superior and has always held the title of either 1 before Starrk's arrival, or just he's always been 2, which puts him under Barragan. We also have a direct line of successors of the third Espada from Dordoni to Neliel to Tyr. So it's clear his weaker state is below those 3 ranks, and potentially not even an Espada level due to Cien being considered a numeros when he became an arrancar and not an Espada. That Cien bit is important because Cien is a clone of Szaeyalaporro as an arrancar when he was both Szaeyalaporro and Ilfort. I know it's a little confusing, but if you haven't read the novels. All of that to say, when we regress his power from his enhanced arrancar state back to his base power as a Vasto Lorde, it wouldn't touch any of the others on this list. But his rampage power could put him somewhere else on this list, but it's still too indeterminable, so 5 seemed a fair spot to land. Number 4, Ulquiorra. Ulquiorra Cifer makes his iconic number 4 spot due to having actual feats as a Vasto Lorde. Ulquiorra, upon his birth, dispatched a group of Vasto Lorde. According to Ulquiorra, this group of hollows were his quote-unquote siblings, and from their silhouettes, they seem to also be Vasto Lorde. Aside from the fact he was born a Vasto Lorde, which is crazy to even think about, it's crazier when you count 6 silhouettes, meaning Ulquiorra fought 6 other Vasto Lorde and came out victorious. Now, technically, Tyr Haribel is of a higher rank as an arrancar than Ulquiorra, so she should be higher than him, right? And the answer is no. Because Ulquiorra, unlike some on this list, became an arrancar naturally, meaning he was not enhanced by Hogyoku, so his power as an arrancar is closer to his Vasto Lorde state than Haribel's is for her. Ulquiorra's Res 2 isn't being considered because it could definitely have been a power he developed later as an arrancar, so I'm only retroactively applying his power from his Res 1 form. Now remember, if you're liking this video so far, let me know by hitting the like button and commenting. It helps out the algorithm, as you've probably heard to death at this point. And if you like the channel for my unusual idea video topics, feel free to subscribe. It's free. And the Discord has been pumping out some new Bleach theories that will be coming soon, so please come join. Alright, back to the list. Barragan, number 3, the God King of Hueco Mundo, sadly does not take his number 1 spot. I don't think Barragan gets to number 1 because there are 2 hollows who were clearly more powerful than him. Barragan Lousienbarn is clearly over the other 2 hollows on this list. Barragan in character only does 2 things when a hollow has the strength to oppose him. He either eliminates them or he makes a deal with them. And in Szaeyalaporro's case, for people who still think Szaeyalaporro should be higher, he chose to subjugate Szaeyalaporro. When it comes to Barragan and Ulquiorra, it's definitely a bit closer in power. Barragan's arrancar number is 2, which is 2 positions higher than Ulquiorra, and he became an arrancar with Hogyoku, so his boost would be bigger, so their original power may actually be closer in their original forms. Barragan ruled over and subjugated multiple Vasto Lorde hollows, while Ulquiorra battled 6 and killed them. They aren't exactly the same feat, but very similar and impressive. What I think is the difference maker here is that Barragan is implied to still have his Respira abilities in Can't Fear World novels. So if he has that ability, and their powers are close, I don't think Ulquiorra has anything for Barragan just as a regular hollow. Maybe as an arrancar, but that's a video for a different day. Number 2, Starrk and Lillynette's original being. I wish I could put Starrk and Lillynette at number 1. And if I had made this video years ago before another hollow appeared in the novels, then they would be number 1. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But compared to the other hollows, they are in no way anything less than number 2. Now, we have actually never seen their original form. We see a silhouette of the form in the anime, but not even Starrk and Lillynette remember their original name or visage. So for simplicity, I'll just call them Starrk. Like Ulquiorra, Starrk was a natural arrancar, and we see Starrk become an arrancar in the manga and anime because they became an arrancar when they divided their soul into Coyote and Lillynette respectively. Now, we see even as 2 arrancar, despite wanting to befriend hollows and form some sort of a bond or community, they can't because their overwhelming spiritual pressure crushes weak hollows to death, and even stronger hollows struggle to stay alive long enough to form friendships. But we know this feat still applied to the Vasto Lorde form because Starrk and Lillynette surmise that they split into 2 beings because of the loneliness they felt, which would be due to them being too strong. That means even with a Hogyoku amp to become an arrancar, Barragan still could not reach Starrk's level. Starrk was a natural arrancar, meaning his power was significantly higher than Barragan's before they even evolved. But unfortunately, the number 1 spot has so many impressive feats and statements that it's impossible for any regular hollow to surpass him. Number 1, Ikomikidomoe. Ikomikidomoe is far and away number 1. Shockingly, not only is he the strongest pure hollow, but he is only a Nethuchus. Iko is a Nethuchus with the overwhelming power and spiritual density of a Vasto Lorde. Iko being a Nethuchus seems to be a conscious choice for him, as he doesn't think hollows should be anything but monstrous. Iko has 2 things that put him this high. 1 is his age, and 2 is his somewhat unique power. Ikomikidomoe is as old as Barragan, giving him time to get stronger. And his somewhat unique power is something that all hollows have, just more impressive. When hollows consume souls, or each other, they get a power boost, but it isn't a perfect 1-to-1 transfer. Just like you don't get all the nutrients from something you eat. Energy is lost. However, when Iko eats a soul, he gains all of their power. Aranero has a similar ability, except in Aranero's case, he gets their form and special ability. Iko can even absorb an environment like the Kyogoku or the Valley of Screams, like a Quincy could. With this, he became as powerful as a Vasto Lorde, who forced Barragan into a treaty, talked about that earlier. After this treaty, he went on to surpass all other hollows by attacking the world of the living and Soul Society and absorbing so much more, meaning he grew far stronger than that Barragan. He then fought a Zanpakuto-less Yamamoto and had to be sealed away by Oetsu and Ichibe. And even as a faux Zanpakuto, Ikomikidomoe could only be wielded and properly suppressed by a Soul King candidate, cementing his position as the strongest hollow. Well, that's the video. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Also, let me know if you've read the Bleach novels, as they have tons of lore bits and do a good job of clearing up certain things. I hope you enjoyed. Remember, like and subscribe. Have a good day. Bye.